know everything.
What?
Ultimate fist bump.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Entertainment Lab. I'm your host, the Spoiler King, bring you guys the ultimate recap of Dark. So you don't need anything else before going to watch season 3 on Netflix. And if you want to watch more video of Dark, head over to the description section and click the link in the description box below. And before we begin, hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon.
Everything is just about to begin.
Season 1 starts on June 19th with Michael Kahnwald committing suicide. 5 months later, on 4th November, his son Jonas gets released from a psychiatric facility and meet Bartosz Tiedemann, who is now in relationship with Martha Nielsen, his love interest. Martha's father Ulrich and Charlotte Doppler are the lead detective in the case of Eric Odenoff, who has been missing for 2 weeks. Late in the evening, Jonas, Bartosz, Franziska and the Nielsen siblings goes deep in the forest to find a hidden stash of drugs. A strange noise provoked them to run for their life, in which Mikhail was left behind and goes missing.
He's not with you!
He was with you!
On the following day, an unknown body is discovered at the site where Mikhail was disappeared. Elsewhere, someone straps Eric to a chair. Ulrich has started losing his patience because his brother Mads was also vanished in 1986 and never came back. So he searches the cave by himself, which led him to a door to nuclear power plant. Meanwhile, Charlotte got to know that the dead body's ears were destroyed by exerting extreme pressure. Later that night, dead birds were started falling from sky and Charlotte started thinking about similar event that took place in 1986.
It's as if it's all happened before.
A glitch in the Matrix.
On the other side, when Mikhail runs towards his home, he discovered that today's date is 5th November 1986. So he goes to the police station in search for his father, where police chief Egon Tiedemann sends him to the care of nurse Ines Kahnwald.
I've come here from the future.
Meanwhile, Regina's mother, Claudia Tiedemann, takes the charge as a director of nuclear power plant from Bernd Doppler, who shows her some barrels hidden in the nearby caves. Coming back to 2019, during her investigation, Charlotte discovered that the night when Mikhail disappeared, her husband Peter was in forest. Soon, his younger daughter, the mute Elizabeth, goes missing for a few hours. But when she returns to her home, she gives her a watch which was given to her by Noah, claiming that the watch was once belonged to her. On the following day, Yasim was kidnapped by a stranger sent by Noah. Now we see that in 1986, Mikhail is also visited by a priest named Noah. Meanwhile, young Hannah notices Ulrich and Katharina having sex, so she falsely testifies to the police saying that Ulrich has assaulted Katharina and gets Ulrich arrested. Coming back to 2019, Bartosz meets Noah, assuming that he was the Eric's drug supplier. On the other hand, the stranger found Regina to deliver a package to Jonas. In the meantime, he approaches Jonas and talks to him about his father. Later, when Jonas gets the package, he opened it to find a light, a GM counter and Michael's suicide letter, in which he tried to explain the events of 4th November 2019 and how Mikhail Nielsen became Michael Kahnwald.
Everything is connected.
In 2019, Ulrich goes to confront Regina Tiedemann after learning the fact that she was the last one to see Mads alive in 1986. She made her realize that not her, but Ulrich himself was responsible for his brother's disappearance and also cleared the air between them by saying that back in 1986, Hannah framed him for assault, not her. Now, when he goes again through the case file of 1986, he realized that the dead body that they have found in the forest is of Mads. Meanwhile, Jonas, with the help of map, crawls through Sigmundas Kratos' gate to reach the back in 1986 and meets 14-year-old Hannah. On the other hand, Egon Tiedemann goes to nuclear power plant to question young Helga Doppler about his whereabouts on the night when Mads disappeared. Now today, those notes grab the eye of Ulrich Nielsen, making Helga a suspect. At the same time, Charlotte, while searching through the caves, finds a welded door and later discovers that the cave system goes right to the old cabin owned by Helga. Now watch the video very carefully, as the things will escalate quickly as we go further back in past 33 years. The year is 1953. Police discovered the unidentified dead bodies of Yasin and Eric. Now, When Ulrich arrives in 2019, he is puzzled to meet his father Tronte Nielsen, as he was only 14 at the time. He goes to meet H.G. Tannhaus to know the details about the book that Tannhaus will eventually write, where he gets to meet young Ines Canwald and his mother. While sitting there, he realizes that if he will kill 9-year-old Helga, then the none-of will happen. Well, he does that and leaves him dead in the bunker and gets himself arrested. Later on, Tannhaus started building the machine with the help of Ulrich's smartphone and blueprints provided by Claudia of 2019. As in 1986, Elder Tannhaus has already built the machine and explained the theory of wormhole to the stranger, whose sole aim is to destroy it. Meanwhile, young Ulrich, Katharina and Regina meets Alexander, who was quite shady and is living under false identity, as Hannah catches him burying his original passport, the information which she uses 33 later to blackmail him into destroying Ulrich's life. A few days later, Claudia hires him to weld the door on a room which contains barrel of byproduct of a small meltdown. Coming back to 2019, Bartosz agrees to join Noah in the mission to free humanity. In the last episode of the season, creators reveal that the time when Mikhail disappeared, Peter was visiting Helga's cabin, when out of nowhere, Matt's body suddenly appears. So he calls Tronte and asks him to come by. Then they move the corpse to the place as told by Claudia. On the other side, Jonas moved back 1986 to bring Mikhail back.
If you take him back now, you're erasing your whole existence.
But he gets himself kidnapped by Noah and Helga. And soon Helga's elder version is killed when he drives a car into his younger self. Afterwards, Jonas finds himself inside a bunker when the stranger comes by and reveals himself to be the elder version of Jonas himself. In 2019, Charlotte is able to find an article of 1953 related to Helga's kidnapping along with a photo of Ulrich. And Noah tells Bartosz that when adult Jonas will operate the time machine, it will create a wormhole rather than destroying it. And when he did that, Helga is transferred to 1986 while Jonas awakes in 2052, which looked like a post-apocalyptic Winden.
Welcome to the future.
While we finished season 1 in the future, season 2 begins on 21st June 1921 with a young Noah killing a man who helped him creating the portal. Soon, we see that Adam asks older Noah to retrieve Claudia's diary in the order to prepare themselves for an apocalypse that will occur on 27 June 2020. Now, moving on to the present day Winden, we still have 6 days left for the apocalypse. Now the federal government sends Clausen to help Charlotte in the investigation, and adult Jonas makes Hannah believe that he is her son.
It's me, Mom.
By taking her back to 1986, where she sees Mikhail with Ines. Back in 1987, old Claudia helps her younger self with the coordinates of the time machine. At the same time, retired Egon Tiedemann started doubting his action regarding to the double homicide case of 1953. So he visits Ulrich, who has been living in a psychiatric facilities for past 33 years. On the other hand, in today's timeline, Regina reveals about the stranger stuff which contained a journey through time book in her interview to Clausen, which makes Charlotte question her past as she was brought up by Tannhaus. Meanwhile, Jonas is planning to stop Apocalypse, but he constantly stopped by adult Elizabeth Doppler. But somehow he manages to get inside and finds Claudia's recording describing the God particle, which can be used as a portal for time travel, which he uses with the help of Silja.
You're going in?
Whether I die out here or in there doesn't matter.
In 1954, Helga returns to his home after spending 7th month in 1987 with Noah, helping him to build the new time machine, and the older Claudia Tiedemann meets Agnes Nielsen, knowing that she will reveal the location of missing pages to her brother Noah in hope to rejoin the Sigmundus. Later that night, Noah retrieves the missing pages after killing her, but the cycle continues as the baton is now passed on to the another Claudia. Meanwhile, our Jonas lands in 1921 Winden, where he meets younger Agnes and Noah, and the latter escorts them to meet Adam, who has revealed to be the much older version of Jonas
I am you.
and the leader of Sigmundus. He tells him about the loophole that will change the past, with the help of another God particle that can take him to any time he wants. Both Jonas and Adam believe that the cycle might have started with Michael's suicide. So he decides to travel back to the day before Michael's commits suicide. In 2020, adult Jonas and Hannah talks about the existence of time travel with Charlotte, Peter and Katharina. During her conversation with Jonas, Charlotte reveals that Tanhas was not her real grandfather and that she has no idea about the identities of her parents.
Do you know who my parents are?
But later on, when she was visiting Tanhas' workshop for clues, Noah visits her, revealing that she is his daughter. In between all of this, their children threatens Bartos unless he helps him with the time machine. So, he decides to take them to 1987. Meanwhile, Jonas travels back to 20th June 2019, where after having a brief encounter with Martha, he goes to his house so that he can convince Michael not to commit suicide. But at the same time, older Claudia arrives and pursues Michael and Jonas that Farmer has to die so that Jonas can be conceived of the idea that the role is bigger than he believes.
Your role in all of this is much greater than you think.
In 1987, Egon tried to contact authorities after learning the fact that Claudia knows about the caves and time travel, which led him a tussle between them in which Egons die. The dying Egon realized that she was the White Devil, the term that he heard way back in 1954 by young Helga when he questioned him about Claudia. Soon after all of this, Jonas takes her, saying that they still can change the events. Meanwhile, in the present, Martha meets adult Jonas and is shocked to learn that the fact that he is her nephew.
A glitch in the Matrix.
On the other hand, Clausen arrests Alexander and shows him anonymous letter which says that all the information regarding his missing brother of the same name could be found in Winden. Now he goes to the nuclear power plant and searches around the buried radioactive waste. When Charlotte learns about this from Waller, she believes that Clausen entering the area will provoke the apocalypse. At the same time in 1921, Noah confronts Adam when he later reveals that Elizabeth will become his wife and therefore Charlotte's mother.
Charlotte is your daughter.
But soon after that, he was shot dead by Agnes in the presence of older Magnus and Franziska. Coming back to the day of apocalypse in 2020, when Clausen opened the containers, Elizabeth simultaneously turns on the machine in 2053 and Magnus and Franziska do the same in 1921, which converts the waste into the dark matter. At the same time, Katharina opens the Sic Mundus gate in the caves, which creates a portal connecting Elizabeth in 2053 and Charlotte in 2020. Now as the God particle is evolving, Adams comes to 2019 and shoots Martha in front of Jonas. But soon he meets another version of Martha from another world.
You will carry this pain for the rest of your life.
Look at me.
Until you're finally ready to let go.
Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, hit the like button. And for more such content like this, subscribe to our channel.